I'm Sally Schwartz, and this is my story. Shopping for love, the unvarnished truth about my beloved sister pushing me, not so gently, into the world of dating. 3 months after my divorce was finalized, and still it took me a second to recognize where I was each morning. Leaving the courthouse all those weeks ago, I'd felt a surge of relief. The unentangling of my marriage was over, as was the loneliness I'd experienced during the final few years of what had been a good run, but what had diminished into parallel lives like parallel play. By the end, we'd been two people living next to one another, focusing only on our own interests, oblivious to the fun we might have had if we'd been willing to look up and interact with one another. What I hadn't anticipated was returning home, newly single, and feeling disoriented by a house echoing with emptiness. "Move in with me," my sister had suggested. Or maybe I'd asked if I could spend a few nights at her house, just for a bit, while I let myself get accustomed to my new status as a 50-year-old divorced woman. However it had transpired, the result was the same. I'd been in residence with my sister and brother-in-law since November, and now it was February. At first, Betsy had indulged me. "No pressure. Hang out and lick your wounds," she'd say as she poured out the coffee. Then, out of nowhere, she'd greeted me one morning with her arms crossed and her toes tapping. "It's time," she announced. "You need to get back out there, get online, and start dating." The thing about Betsy is she's a bulldozer. I did my best to explain I wasn't ready, but it didn't matter. She'd made up her mind. I agreed to try online dating for 2 reasons. First, I didn't have it in me to fight my sister. And second, she threatened to write my online profile for me if I wasn't willing to do it myself. "We're in this together," she'd say. "I'll help you every step of the way, out into the world and into some lucky man's arms." So yes, my dating profile was up, online, and live. And even though I'd sworn never to do it without her, I decided to check my emails alone before heading downstairs for coffee with my sister. I scrolled through the regulars. Banana Republic, Wayfair, Athleta, and the world of Hyatt were all courting me, according to JDate. So was someone named X345J2. I clicked on it. "Hi, your profile intrigues me. Would you like to have dinner?" I had to read it twice, which did not take long. It was brief but grammatically correct. X345J2 had flattered me while also spelling the word intrigue without mishap. Dinner was offered up front. So much for flirting and foreplay. I clicked on his photo. No photo. No list of hobbies, interests, musical preferences. All it offered as a glimpse into the soul of my suitor was this: "My friends tell me I should get out there." Okay. At least he had friends. Every fiber of my being twitched, urging me to head downstairs and report all of this to Betsy. I resisted. Instead, I placed my cursor in the reply box and typed, "Hi, X345J2. I'm flattered that you find me intriguing. Much as I would like to accept your kind invitation to dinner, I feel at a disadvantage. You know from my photo how to find me in a crowded restaurant, but I won't know how to find you. No photo, no fare." I hit the send button fast. By the time I finished brushing my teeth and putting on the same yoga pants I'd been wearing all month, X345J2 had replied, "You make a valid point. I am a senior partner at Weinberg, Abrams & Stein. Though it's not the best photo, you can get an idea of what I look like from my partner photo. From that, you should be able to recognize me if we were to dine. Sincerely, H. Sternberg." A senior partner at Weinberg, Abrams & Stein. That single sentence turned me into every Jewish mother ever. What a prestigious firm. And a senior partner. Such a catch. I Googled Weinberg, Abrams, and Stein, clicked on H. Sternberg, and beheld my suitor. I caught my breath, forcing myself to hold my gaze steady. There, not smiling before my eyes, was my potential Romeo. Glasses askew, hair wiry and tufted, and a slight curve at the shoulders, suggesting a life spent sitting at a desk, accumulating billable hours. I leaned into my screen as if that would reveal his hidden charms. It did not. I chastised myself. Who was I, a newly divorced woman at age 50, to be so quick to judge and condemn a man solely on his unfortunate corporate headshot? He'd reached out to me in standard English. He appeared to be enjoying career success, and he was interested in taking me to dinner. I typed my reply. Well, H. Sternberg, AKA X345J2, thanks to your corporate photo, I do believe I could pick you out of a lineup. Yes, I would very much like to meet over dinner. His reply was almost immediate. I see by your profile that you enjoy steak. Why don't I make a reservation for the two of us for tomorrow night? Say 7 p.m. at the Morton Steakhouse in Northbrook? I typed fast. That would be lovely. See you then. P.S. I look like my photos. H. Sternberg answered immediately. Great. I'll look for a tall, attractive woman. I look like my photos as well. My heart sank just a little bit. Part of me had hoped he'd own up to the photo being taken on a bad day. My fingers hovered over my keyboard, and then I did what my sister had instructed me never to do. I typed a smiley face emoji, then closed my laptop and headed downstairs to the kitchen. Where you been, sister? I was beginning to worry. Betsy didn't look worried in the slightest. She was well into her mug of coffee doing the crossword. You started without me? Since moving in, doing the crossword had become our morning ritual. What have you been doing up there? She glanced at the clock. It's almost 8. Nothing, unless you count securing my first dinner date. Betsy took off her readers and slammed down the pen. Without me? I nodded, and she smiled. The student becomes the master. Tell me, I need details. It's not that guy you had coffee with, is it? Mr. Irritable Bowel Syndrome? I mean, it'd be okay if it is. I'm not judging, no judgment. I can learn to love him. Do I need to start making bland food? I can do that. Slow down. It's dinner with a different bachelor, a guy named Henry. Henry what? Last name, please. She was already logging into her LinkedIn account. Pulling up his profile, she started nodding. Okay, he's okay. Not so bad. Not so bad? I offered my secret assessment. He looks like the love child of Eugene Levy and Walter Matthau. She took another look. I think Eugene Levy is cute. And I do Walter Matthau. I ignored her overly generous assessment of my suitor and shared the plans. He's taking me to Morton's for dinner. Morton's! On the first date. I like that. He's getting better looking already. Now, what are you going to wear? I have a closet full of clothes. I'll be fine. Betsy crossed her arms again. I've seen your clothes. You are not fine. You cannot go on a dinner date in Polar Fleece and Lulu's. We need to go shopping. I walked over to the coffee pot, then looked back at my sister. It didn't matter how much I protested. Betsy had made up her mind. Raising my mug in a mock salute, I surrendered to the inevitable. What the hell? Let's go shopping. 2 hours later, we were in her car driving to Northbrook Court. I'm choosing what you buy, Betsy commanded. Not fair, I said, aware that I was already on the defensive. I recalibrated my strategy. I will agree to try on what you pick, but that doesn't mean I'm buying it. Betsy didn't miss a beat. We'll see about that. But this baggy comfort daytime pajama thing you've got going on. She took one hand off the steering wheel just long enough to wave her arm up and over the general area of my body while shaking her head in disapproval. Not gonna happen. You're buying clothes that actually fit. My sister was determined to get me out of my comfort clothes and into an outfit that might attract a grown man. She kept insisting that clothes 2 sizes smaller than everything I owned would look great. My goal was simpler. I wanted to look good, but still look like myself. Just because I needed to lose my polar fleece and clogs didn't mean I needed to cinch my waist and start sporting stilettos. No Neiman's, I said. Betsy's eyebrows shot up, but she didn't argue. We'd both seen the photo of X345J2. As if the wiry-haired image of my suitor hung in the air, a mutual understanding settled between us. A moderately priced wardrobe update would suffice. We chose Lord & Taylor, in part because it was having its annual cashmere sale, and in part because it was still adjacent to Neiman's. In a pinch, we could always end up there. Walking into the store, Betsy rattled off her list. No baggy, no loose, no hippie, no turtlenecks. Is that all? Almost, she said, wagging her finger. No cardigans and absolutely no Birkenstocks. I thought about my beloved wardrobe, hanging on same-facing hangers, folded neatly on shelves, and tucked into drawers lined with lavender-scented papers. I took care of my 20-year-old sweaters with the same attention jewelers treat their diamonds, with loving admiration and gentle hands. Over the course of my adult life, I'd amassed the wardrobe of a fussy librarian. Wool cardigans with pockets. Oversized V-necks that hung off my shoulders like old friends. Pleated skirts that begged for tights and loafers more than hosiery and heels. The problem was that while Tweety men projected old money and ivy-covered walls, Tweety women suggested mothballs and tea. I loved my clothes, but even I had to admit I wouldn't want to date mothballs and tea. Betsy started working the racks, pulling dresses and blouses that frightened me with their plunging necklines and fitted seams. I started to object, but she stopped me cold. What was our deal? I pick, you try on. These won't bite. I looked away, not exactly agreeing, but knowing she was right. I knew the dressing room drill. It's the way I shopped with my daughter when she was home from college. I was willing to consider the skirts she wanted, the ones too short to sit down in, as long as she agreed to try on the skirts I wished she would wear, the ones that left some of her anatomy to the viewer's imagination. I almost always ended up paying for the college student as trollop clothing, but at least I'd seen a glimpse of the librarian I thought I'd raised. While Betsy hunted and gathered her way through the dresses, I let the magnetic pull of the cashmere draw me in. Stacked on tables and hung on racks, I ran my hands over all of it. There were burnt reds and pale violets, citrus greens and dusty taupes. A separate rack featured my mother's favorite, baby blues so sweet they belonged in a bassinet. I gravitated toward the most reassuring of colors, black. Not the vampy, come-hither black, but the sensible, goes with everything black. I looked at the cuts, crew neck, V-neck, cowl neck, sleeveless, tunic, poncho, cape. Nothing called my name until there it was. It was love at first sight, boat-necked and cropped with 3/4 sleeves. I knew with alarming certainty that Betsy would reject it immediately. Nevertheless, I pulled it in 2 sizes, extra large to make me happy, and large to appease my sister. I congratulated myself on being so willing to compromise. In the dressing room, Betsy and I stared each other down. I didn't want to try on anything she'd picked, and she disapproved of the 2 items I held. We're starting with mine, she told me, no discussion. Since I'd already agreed to this, I didn't resist. As I stripped down to my underwear, Betsy cupped her hands to her mouth, miming a megaphone. Houston, we have a problem. What? She scanned me top to bottom. Seriously? That bra? Those underpants? What are you, Quaker? I didn't need to look in the mirror to know what she meant. My bra came from Soma, which is the Victoria's Secret for the postmenopausal set. It was their front closure special, thick enough in the cups to hide even a hint of the headlights, and wide enough around the middle to smooth out unsightly back fat. "It's comfortable," I said. My sister started to share her thoughts, but I held up my hand. "We're doing the dating outfit today, not what's underneath." With pursed lips, she handed me a wrap dress in a bold print, 2 sizes smaller than anything I owned. Just trying to fit my arm into the sleeve made me angry. "See, this isn't my size. Finish putting it on." She was insistent. I hate this feeling. I winced, pushing my size 12 arms into the size 8 sleeves. My own shoulders extended 2 inches beyond the shoulder seams stitched into the dress. The front wouldn't close properly, and the back fit so tightly I couldn't move my arms. "Not my size, not my dress." "Take it off. Hate it," she said, holding up another option. "Try this one." We exchanged clothing, observing the unspoken code of dressing room etiquette. One person tries on, the other person rehangs. It has ever been thus. We went through her pile. Too short, too long, too fitted, too loose. Crazy belt, needs a belt. Too conservative, screams Mrs. Mike Pence. Too tacky, screams Real Housewife. Too low cut, way too Kardashian. I lifted the black sweater I'd chosen from the bench. "Can I try what I picked?" I'd brought a black and gray striped wool skirt from home. I took it out of my bag and put it on. "You cannot tell me this is bad. You own the same one." "Fine, yes, the skirt's okay. But what are you wearing it with?" This was always where we differed. Betsy pairs hers with a tight black tank. I wear mine with an oversized boxy sweater. She looks terrific, and I look happy. I held up the black cashmere sweater in 2 sizes. She shook her head. No. I held my ground. Yes. She considered. Maybe. Let me see. I put on the extra large, stood in front of the mirror, and smiled. "Okay, not so bad. Not as bad as I thought, but you need it in a smaller size." "A brat," I said, holding up the size large. "You're predictable," I added, taking off the sweater I knew I'd buy and putting on the smaller one. "That's the size you need, not the bigger one." "I like the bigger one," I said. Betsy was unmoved. "Don't care. Now that you're dating, you need to buy the one that fits, the one that shows you have a body, a shape, a waist." "I like the bigger one," I repeated. "Tell you what," Betsy said. "How about we let the sales lady decide? If she likes you in the huge, baggy, unflattering one, fine. But if she agrees with me that you should buy clothes in the size that fits, then you buy the smaller one that actually looks good." "Deal," I said. We eyed each other. Neither of us trusted the other not to tip off the sales lady to our respective sides. So together we left the dressing room to seek our referee. Asking only for her professional opinion, we brought the deciding vote back to the dressing room. Which looks better was all we asked. I stood before her in one and then the other. "The smaller looks beautiful," she said. Then she turned to my sister. "I think she can go down a size. Would you like me to get the medium?" Betsy perked right up, but I didn't give her a chance to answer. "No, thank you," I said, handing the sweaters to the dressing room referee. "I'll take them both." Betsy shot me a look. "They're on sale," I said. "I'll buy the one the sales lady chose, but I want the bigger one too, for when I'm not on a date and just want to look like myself. Okay? Satisfied?" "Barely," my sister said. "But you're on notice. That underwear has got to go."